Know me, just a really, really quick summary of who I am and where I came from. I'm Nicole and I came from Germany. I actually grew up in Germany with warm bloods. Started as a 5-year-old vaulting, which is gymnastics on horseback, which all Germans kind of start riding with, because it's just important to have the balance and to really, experience the movement of the horse before you start directing the horse. That's the philosophy behind it. Rode up until my early 20s, then came to the United States, worked in advertising, missed horses, lived in New York, and came here to learn English, actually, because my English was absolutely ridiculous and miserable before I came here, but I needed it to use it in advertising, and I was hopeless. So I was in New York City, and after about a year or two, I was like, I miss horses. And aside from the carriage horses, there wasn't much of an opportunity, except I found a therapeutic riding center. And so every Tuesday at lunch, I grabbed all my week lunches together and made them like a 2.5-hour lunch on Tuesdays, and ran up to the riding academy up on the Upper West Side, did therapeutic riding with adults that were blind, and then went back and had no lunch for the rest of the week. But loved it so much that I ended up on the weekends going up to upstate New York, helped at a riding center, and had a life-changing moment when a group of highly, strongly disabled individuals, highly retarded women in their midlife came, and I was scared out of my mind, and I was like, I cannot deal with this drooling, dripping, screaming bunch. I was like, this is not for me. And then I saw what the horses did to these women, because before I worked mostly with kids or with highly functioning adults. And when I saw what these horses did for these women, it was an indoor arena, and I was like, oh my God, the sun just came out, it's all golden light. I can't believe it. It was life-changing. It really was. And I could see that there was this woman, Marion, who the first time in her life at 45 spoke her first word on horseback. Had never spoken before. There was Lydia, who was the woman that was the most affected, that I was so scared of, who I was told when they drive into the driveway at this riding center, she rocks the van and gets so excited. And there was actually purpose in her life every Saturday when they came to this place. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I gave up that career in advertising and took a year to get certified as a therapeutic riding instructor, did a semester of equine science and equine management in Kentucky at the Kentucky Horse Park, and then came up to eastern Massachusetts and started as a director of a therapeutic riding center. Was there for 5 years, built a big indoor facility, and then realized there's more to it though. This is not it. The physical and cognitive, it's all great, but the emotional piece is really what matters to some of these, especially children with autism. I worked a lot with, and I'm like, so I want to get more into that, and I kind of focused on that, and eventually realized I want to do life coaching and have the horses be my partners in coaching. Worked mostly with women that were in transitions or weren't sure about, empty nest syndrome, or, oh my God, my career stinks, I want to actually really be a Reiki practitioner for the rest of my life, and not anymore working at the bank, and worked a lot, did workshops, one-on-one sessions with people. And then I'm like, that's still not it though. There's something more to this. And then my horses showed me what I really needed to do. And it's very specific to me that I, through all these experiences, and in particular the coaching, which allows me to really keep myself out of the relationship. When I have Karen with the horse, and there's some reflective work going on between the two, and Buford is showing her where she, where she needs to maybe own more of her power, or where she actually has a really strong leadership skill, and he's showing her that. I have to stay out of that relationship. This is between the two of them. I cannot bring my perspective in. I am like the channel or the conduit that brings the two together, and I can maybe interpret a little bit what he says, and I can help you find out what you're feeling, but I need to stay out of it. And I think that's why I can do right now what I'm gonna be talking to you about is I know how to stay out of other people's business. And that's an important, I know that's an important thing, because a lot of times, and Paul and I have this little tit for tat all the time about anthropomorphizing, where I get that. And to me, it's only if I project my stuff onto you, then I'm anthropomorphizing. But I think she has tons to say that is very true and very real information. And it only is true and real though if I don't create it because of my desires, because of my wishes. She's like, yeah, keep talking. Look at you, she's so funny.
She's paying attention.
And that's why I want them here, because they will confirm a lot of the things. We've seen that at other, Mary, you've seen that at the workshop. I gave a clinic at Green Acres a couple months ago, and there was one where she was like, yes, she kept going, yes, keep talking. So we were kind of, so that's why they are fabulous, because the truth is right with the horse. But so that's a little bit what we're going to be talking about today, how you can actually be connected to them and be in relationship where it becomes the truest for both of you, where you can own your experience and they can theirs, and then really bring that together. So that's my goal. Since you're now set up like this, I wanted each of you to just share one sentence or two about yourselves, like maybe what your name and what drew you to this, just so I can feel a little bit about who you are. Some of you I know, some I don't, so we can kind of just create a little bit more of a connection. So I'm sorry that you have to turn around to see someone, but why don't we start right in the back in Maryland? Otherwise, this all will be happening. So thank you all for sharing. That really helps a lot. And I since we believe in energy, I can, David, where it's out there. Since we, already I can feel belief, and there is something more. I think by us connecting in this way, there's a better opportunity for stuff to come up. Because as Amy just said, the experience I've had just recently with one particular horse. He showed me, and I told Pam that story a little while ago, he showed me that when I came in, this woman had hired me, and this horse needs ground manners. There's no question about it. But when I came in with my great intention of, all right, stand up, we're going to work on that, he had a different idea. And I stood there, and I'm trying to do my little rigmarole and what I know how to do, and he was just like, And he didn't do anything bad, he just wasn't tuning in whatsoever. And there's the owner, and she's looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And until I got still. But this is now 20 minutes into it, and it's embarrassing, and I'm humbled, and I'm like, I know how to do this. I do. I mean, I kept looking at the woman like, give me another minute. Another minute, I'm almost there. And finally, I was just like, let's all take a breath. And as I did, this horse who had actually wraps around his legs, he goes, I can hear it, he goes, I want him to stand still. And he was dancing around me, and I was trying to do all kinds of movement. You know how you learn, like, get the horse moving, make it worse, get better, and all this. None of it worked, and I hate most of those things, but I was totally at the end of my rope. And as I got still, and we all took a collective breath, I hear, these things, meaning the wraps around the leg, mean movement. Take them off. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, we gotta take the wraps off. And we got going, Amy got one leg, I got the other leg, and the horse went, afterwards, kick. He kicked all four legs as soon as the wraps were off, and then he went, and he's like, oh, I'm here now. Oh my God. At that moment, I knew, don't any trainer tell me they know exactly what to do and how you can fix this. You gotta let them help determine what they need, what's going on, what's ready to rock and roll. And this horse in particular is one that speaks on so many dimensions. And he sets up whole scenarios of, he acts like another horse acts where the owner has a problem with it, to show us what that feels like when that horse does that. I mean, he is so multifunctioning, it's like, it's crazy. And I know that is true because one of my late horses, he actually would, when I did the coaching, he would do stuff like where he takes, meets a person, and all of a sudden he put up a put on a show in the arena. He would go to people and he would zip their jackets up and down, and he would put another on and smooth them out. And in the meantime, he always looked at that one person and like, so what do you think of that? And he would do this whole scene in the paddock, and I'm like, what is he doing? I don't even know what's going on. Only when I finally said to the woman, so what's going on? She said, that's my boyfriend. He always messes around behind my back. And this is what this horse did. He messed around with everybody and kept looking at her. What do you think about this? So I know that that's possible. I've seen, that horse was a master at taking these pieces on from people and changing them, molding them, and saying like, this is what your life looks like. Oh, you want to rethink it? So it's all possible.